Saturday morning we're here to infuse the right energy into the system. This week has particularly been a challenging one, listening to what the debate has been at the United Nations. I remember growing up and watching the debates and really being inspired and saying, one day, I want to be in that room and listen. But this time around, I actually thought, I don't know if I would have wanted to be in that room when some of the leaders were speaking, which speaks to where we are, where we find times of risks and polarity and a lot of issues and difficulties. But I think we've chosen to be on the right side of history. That's why we're here today. So I'm really looking forward to it. Met a few days ago, and she's here to share her perspectives from an African child, a Zambian child, a proud professional. To make these very interactive, we try and also get our participants online to participate. So Carolyn is on hand to tell us what questions we're going to get from there. We acknowledge that people obviously can't be with us in the room on a Saturday morning. So the larger part of people who participate in our events do it online. So we really want them to be part of this conversation. So we will be taking comments and questions from them as well. So Venus, welcome. Welcome to PPS, the home of professionals. I'm sure you're right at home. Okay, we'll get right into it. So talk to us about your early life. We always want to know, get to understand who you are, what shaped you. Talk to us.
Okay. Firstly, thank you very much to Judith and Women on the Boardroom organization, and of course to our amazing host, PPS. And over and above that, to you beautiful ladies and the handsome gentlemen that are supporting us in the room.
Yes.
It is a pleasure to be here and looking forward to this chat. Literally for me, come from a background where I am a middle child. When I say middle child, I have some this side and some this side. So I come from a big family. I would literally say we're 7 of us, and I am the middle child. And with being the middle child, I grew up in an environment, and I must state that the older ones, because there's a gap between the last 3 younger ones, they're like maybe 20 years younger than me.
Wow.
And then compared to us, the older ones. So for us, the older ones, there was only one brother surrounded by sisters. So I grew up in a home where girls had to wash the car, had to learn how to change a bulb, had to be in the field on a farm when you're not going during your holidays, had to dress chickens and also deal with growing mushroom. But looking back, that has actually shaped who I am. And the reason I say so is I, of course, studied as a chartered accountant. So I am a certified chartered accountant and privileged to have been recognized as the first runner-up for ACCA Africa CFO of the Year.
Yes.
Yeah, so been an interesting journey, worked for various organizations as was shared in my bio, but I started off in audit, literally from ticking and bashing when you still had manual journals, and moved on to the financial services sector. And I was privileged to work both in Zambia and in London at PwC, where I specialized in banking and capital markets. And there started my passion for the banking sector. So got back home, got into the financial services sector, and currently enjoying and loving what I do. I am a mother of one. I have an 8-year-old boy that keeps me on my toes. So, and yeah, and I must say, an ardent Christian, I am not shy about it.
Yes.
I am a Christian of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, but I am here today because women matter. Yes. No, thank you.
Thank you so much, Venus. I can imagine how it was growing up in a big family, managing the family dynamics
Yes.
and being in the middle. I'm sure it was fire from the top and fire from the bottom. Okay, so what values and experience have shaped you in your journey, starting in your family and your career, etc.? Because I think if you look back, you kind of get influenced by the spaces that you're shaped in, the leaders that you look up to, the experiences that you have. What were those outstanding things that you would like to share with us?
Okay. So I always like to use the analogy of small children, toddlers. When you're around toddlers, I actually spent time being a counselor in a club called Adventurers Club. And this deals with children between the age of 4 to 9 years old. So you can imagine the level of hype at that age. A child will come up to you, not because of the titles you carry,
Right.
not because of all the accolades behind your name, but because of your warmth and who you are at heart. And I honestly believe even us adults are still young at heart. And because of that, for me, what has shaped me is integrity. I need to be able to stand up for myself. I need to know that I am doing the right thing. Can I sleep at night
Right.
with every decision that I have made? And even when I'm not in the room, what are people saying about me? Will they have something positive to say about me? The second one has been humility, about being a servant leader. As leaders, as women at the top, can we be seen by those that are under us as a person that they can actually relate with on a personal level? So I think for me, those are some of the values: humility, servant leadership, as well as integrity.
So I hear this terminology, servant leadership. There's a bit of a paradox, right? You're the leader, but you're the servant. So can
Yes.
you give us an example of what that really means?
Okay. First, I would like to say that for you to be a great leader, you need to be able to serve others better. And I'll give a classic example in the space that I am in finance. Currently, right now, busy with budgets, short-term, medium-term plan. At that time, I cannot be a spectator at the balcony.
Right.
I need to get my hands dirty. I need to get into the detail. And therefore, me being able to sit with my team at that particular time and work the long hours with them and not shut down at 5 p.m. and they stay up to midnight. But I literally move away from the comfort of my corner office,
Right.
go and sit with them in the pool, get into the detail, which product is driving the numbers. For me, that would be a classic example of how I manage servant leadership. But it's more about, are you empowering the people around you? Do you put yourself in their shoes? Literally having empathy.
Right.
Because as a leader, for you to be effective, if you are rising alone, that is ambition. But if you decide to carry along the others with you, to grow those that are beneath you, that is leadership.
That's interesting. That's great. So there's been a lot of talk around how women lead. They can be emotional, they can be irrational. What is your take on women leadership today? Yeah. Where do you think you can peg it? What are we doing wrong? What are we doing right? What should we be sharpening?
All right, thank you. Interesting question. And I don't know about South Africa, but back home in Zambia, there's a phenomena that's called PhD. And this is you not getting a doctorate, but is pull her down. And sadly, we tend to have that as women, as opposed to trying and lifting up the other women around you. We want to compete. And I must congratulate you, Judith, and the other two amazing ladies for literally putting your hands together and saying, how can we then make this thing work?
Right.
You could have decided to each start an initiative of your own.
Mm.
And what that would have meant is you literally split even the crowd that is here. I think that is one of our biggest problems
Right.
as women. We tend not to want to work together. And we tend to want to fight each other. I remember leaving my previous employer, and people were actually telling me, you're leaving that bank for the blue bank for the red bank. I was like, yes, I am. Do you realize that the red bank has a female CEO?
Oh,
How are you
how
going
is
to
that a
be able to?
problem?
Like, how's that a problem? No, I think women don't work together. You're better off with where you are with a man. And I told myself, for that, I am going to prove the people wrong. It's about supporting each other,
Mm.
holding each other's hands.
Right.
My CEO, Mizinga, may have strengths that perhaps are not my forte.
Mm.
You know, she's one of those who can be on social media every day.
Mm.
Maybe that is not me.
Yeah.
But then I am the person that will be very technical, will get into the detail, and therefore we complement each other.
Right.
So it's about us saying, how are we going to be able to complement each other and build each other as women? It's also about deciding to have concerted effort and literally saying, I should not be seen to be doing this alone, because two is better than one.
Absolutely.
I think that's where that principle kicks in and is very prominent.
Absolutely. I mean, just the thought around how we are emphasizing on the individuality that each of us has, and to say you actually need to hone into that and bring that to your leadership role and bring that into the boardroom. I think that's what is also being really sought after.
Yes.
And not to labor the point on women on boards, but this platform really allows us to learn and get inspired and really get navigated into the right spaces, into the right headspace, because we understand and we know that we're still in the minority. So because of that, we actually need to be extra excellent so that we can make the impact that we would have made if we had the correct quotas in terms of representation. So I just want to encourage you ladies to say, make an appointment to be at these events once a month. It's not a lot to ask. I, for one, am benefiting. I learn a lot. So let's get on with the conversation. So what about the thing called work-life balance? You've got a son.
Yes.
Who is in his formative years.
Yes.
He's got a lot of questions, a lot of things happening at his school. You've got a big career. You're serving on boards. When I looked at your profile, I said, wow, I must get a few tips from Venus. How do you read all these board packs and be the CFO of a PLC and all of this? So talk to us about how you're navigating that.
It is a tough act.
Yeah.
And I actually say you find that one element will suffer at some point.
Right.
And maybe just to try and respond to this, I'll share a personal experience. So I started off, I was in a role where I was acting CFO. And at that point, my home was in disarray, working very hard, going through a separation.
Sure.
And as I was going through the separation, I was also expecting.
Wow.
So you're in an acting role as an FD, you're going through a divorce, and you're expecting.
Wow.
It was very tough, a very tough place to be in. And there were people that said there were more, they believed there were men that deserved this role.
Sure.
And one of my colleagues, whilst acting, actually walked up to me and said, you know, you're just acting, but you'll never get this role.
Phew. Just like that, like
Yes.
spot on.
Spot on. So enjoy the acting stint, you're not getting this role.
Why are we so, was this a woman or a man?
It was a man.
Okay.
Yes.
That's even harsher. Yes. Oh my
But
God.
you know what that did to me? It literally got me to a point to say, I will put in my best. I took a decision to move away from my home
Right.
My very comfortable home, I went to live with my mother because I needed that support system
Right.
around me. And trust me, the entire period I went to work having had some very nice maize meal porridge,
Yeah.
a nicely packed lunchbox, and she would actually be checking up on me. It's 9 p.m. What time are you getting back?
Wow.
So my mother and my siblings were an amazing support system at that point. And I also took it upon myself to put in my best. I remember actually presenting an annual report
Mm.
at 8 months pregnant. You know, March year end.
Mm.
So December year end, doing the annual report in March. I showed up at that AGM, found the right suit, kitten heels, and just said, I'm going to do this. And post that, I remember my chair, my board chair, bless his soul, he's late now.
Mm.
One of the state councils, late state councils in my country just says, are you sure you'll be able to manage? I'm like, don't worry, I got this.
Mm.
I worked right through the end. At that point, I think literally my personal life had to suffer for me to prove a point.
Right.
And on the day that I delivered, I was supposed to have a meeting with my board chair.
Wow.
The meeting I was supposed to have with the board chair was literally for him to give me my appointment letter.
Wow. Brilliant. That's brilliant.
So I got my appointment letter, and the same day, I delivered a bouncy baby boy.
Um,
And in terms
Oh,
of right
wow.
now, my boy keeps me on my toes. So yesterday, typical, I was in the office up to 10. I got in, did my school run in the morning.
Right.
I had to get him to school early. He
Mm.
was at school by 7 a.m. I was in the office by 7:20, did some work up to 10:20.
Yeah.
10:20, left the office. It was parent-teacher conference, and they also had entrepreneurship day at school.
Mhm.
I went, visited his store,
Stand.
his
Yeah.
stand,
Mhm.
then dashed off to the airport.
Amazing.
So, but what it means is there are days when I'll have sleepless nights because I have the board packs to read.
Right.
But I am also intentional.
Mm.
My Saturday, I go to church with him. Afternoon, I spend time with him. And
That's
when
fantastic.
I go on holiday, that week is reserved for him. I have a girls' holiday with my friends, but I also have holiday with him. So that balances it out, but it
That's
can be tough.
fantastic. That's fantastic. Thank you. I suppose we don't have any questions yet online, so I'm just going to go with it. Please just give me a clue if anybody's got something to ask. So I know you've been involved in the public sector, and we're trying to be very inclusive.
Yes.
I think this country and a lot of African countries are kind of sluggish, lagging behind, because the public sector does have a lot of challenges.
Yes.
And Zambia obviously has got some of them.
Mhm.
So talk to us about that. I think some of our listeners would want to also hear about your involvement in the audit committee. I think you said we've got some people in the room that have got
Yes.
experience in that space as well. What have you learned, or what can change? Because that's really hampering a lot of growth. You know, it's like, I feel like it's a stumbling block.
Okay.
Talk to us about that experience.
Okay. So as you've intimated, sitting on a typical government ministry
Yeah.
audit committee board, which is our Ministry of Health. And of course, health is then very critical element, I guess, for any African country. And I think we have a long way to go.
Yeah.
And I recall when I got the letter from the Minister of Finance, I
wanted to say, not
wanted to
me.
say, not me, but I
I'll
said,
pass.
yeah, I'll pass. But I said, I owe it to my country.
Right.
Yes, I think I owe it to my country. It's not for me.
Mm.
It's for the future generation. We're the same ones that complain. And I guess for all of us here, we may be privileged to have private medical insurance.
Mm.
But how about for that relative in the outskirts, in the village, that actually depends on the national system?
Right.
Yeah. And then I also sit on the Zambia Revenue Authority. So that's your equivalent of the SARS. It's the revenue generating entity, and I chair the audit and risk committee of that board. So it's, it's a different perspective altogether.
Yeah.
And I think for me, that's where the servant leadership actually comes in more, that I spoke about earlier. And it's also about you not looking at the reward you get. The reward is actually improvement of the infrastructure.
Right.
And we have a lot of work to do in that there are some people who are there. And it's not for the particular boards I'm on, but it generally happens in this type of boards. It's more for, I'll show up, say noted 3 times in the meeting, and that's it, without giving any contribution, any input.
That's right.
So it's literally you taking a step back to say, how can I improve this? And you literally have to take on more of an advisory role.
Right.
That case.
Okay.
Try and bring in best practice. So that is what I have tried to do. The best practice from the private sector. How can we try and convert that
into best
practice
right.
in the public sector? And it does get appreciated because you find maybe they are complaining about hospitals not having basic equipment, which doesn't even cost much. And you literally say, have you considered get CSR with the private sector? Because maybe there's budget constraints. And then it also then just helps you to then go back, because I can go to the accountancy body and literally say, as we are advocating for changes in the next budget. So for instance, we had our budget speech already yesterday. Can we try and have a shift of where resources are being driven to? I know would want to spend on some of these exciting things, but let us first deal with the social services, which is your education, your health.
Okay. Yeah. So what about the kind of real hard negative energy that one could get, especially if you're a woman, where you maybe say something and you're not heard, and then the people who kind of are in the room are heard? Or how do you deal with the ones that just say noted, for example? Is there a role for a person who's more enlightened, more kind of exposed, because best practice from kind of private practice? What role, what can a person like you actively play in maybe managing the dynamics around the boardroom?
There will be times where you literally be the only one on one side of the table. Everyone else is headed the other direction. So for example, board meetings, if it's outside town, there's then an additional allowance. You're given your fuel allowance. And then a board meeting can be done in 2 to 3 hours, maybe even virtually. And someone says, can we have this meeting over 2 days? We'll do 8 to 10 on Tuesday, 8 to 10 on Wednesday.
Oh my God.
So that they can get sitting allowances for
2 days. Oh, wow.
So I once found myself in that situation and I refused. I declined the allowances just to prove a point.
That's right.
I said, this institution is already bleeding. Why would you then want to be getting more? So I would do it pro bono. Of course, I was very unpopular, but I believed it was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
So you need to be authentic. You need to stick to your principles at that time. And also base your arguments on fact. It shouldn't be about emotions or the way you're feeling, because you can back it up on fact. So I literally did a quick computation. So I'm a numbers person. I did a quick computation. When I looked at management plus the board, and maybe it's not even the board that's a problem.
Yeah.
It's management. The management team was like 20 of them.
Ooh, wow.
So I said, how much has each of you gotten?
Oh, the management team going to the board.
Yes, attending that
meeting as well. So they got allowances.
Yes. And if you ask me, the same out of town, I'm talking about, okay, I really can't explain it from, okay, maybe it's like 15 kilometers radius.
Okay.
Only that it's a border area, you now get into another district. So because they're in another district, they'll then get that allowance.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So I literally had to use facts, do a computation and say, if you were to work on these numbers, do you know how many surgical gloves you'd have bought for a unit? I'm just using that as
Yeah,
an example,
yeah.
but not that that's the ministry it was
Yeah.
or anything. Yeah, so those are some of the hard decisions that you have
One has
to
to take.
deal with, but it's literally about you sticking to your grounds, being authentic
Yeah.
and
Having the facts.
having the facts, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Facts don't lie. Numbers don't lie. So I'll come to you, Doris. The topic for this conversation is As You Rise.
Yes.
And I just want you to touch on a few things because you're literally, I think you've risen 2/3, or I don't know where you are
Yes.
in that trajectory.
Mhm.
What are the nuggets that you want to share with us in terms of that topic specifically as you're rising? Because I think there's some people who are here who are online who are rising. How have you risen? What has made you successful? And what is your aspiration?
Okay. Okay. So as we climb higher in life, one thing we need to remember that it may be in your career, sphere of influence, the opportunities you have, how you lead matters. I think for me, that's been one of the cardinal things.
Yeah.
And I may have touched on some of them in the previous questions. And I've had the privilege of working in all the 3 lines of defense in an organization.
Yeah.
I've worked frontline as a relationship manager in a bank. I've done risk,
Mhm.
including setting up a risk and internal audit function in an organization.
Yeah.
And I've done the 3rd line of defense, which is audit, both internal and external audit.
Yeah.
So it kind of gives me the holistic view of an organization.
Mhm.
So in whatever sphere you are, whether you're self-employed, running a business, just sitting on boards, or you're actually in formal employment, firstly, it's about being authentic and your ability to adapt.
Okay.
How are you adapting to change? There are so many developments that are coming up. Right now, we're in a world of AI. The way I could have done accounting 3 years ago
Yeah.
is totally different. There's now sustainability standards. So as a result, I need to actually put my hand up and say, first of all, I will go and learn from the subject matter experts
Yeah.
and come and take up this sustainability challenge so that I'm speaking from an informed perspective. So I think that's one of the first things I would say. And it's about staying grounded.
Yeah.
So as you rise, you need to deepen your humility
Right.
and not inflate your ego.
Mm.
Sometimes we start to feel like I am at another level. And then you also need to stay committed to growing and learning.
Yeah.
The other thing, and my first director job was when I was 27, and it was in a parastatal.
Mm.
It was tough. 90% of my team was much older than me.
Sure.
And therefore, I literally almost had to embrace them as big brothers, big sisters, mummies. And when they got comfortable in that space,
Right.
I would then be able to get my way around and
Influence.
get the work done.
Yeah.
Then it's also about being resilient
Mm.
and having a strong support system. If you're not resilient, you will struggle.
Mm.
Then how you show up matters. It's your presentation, the way you talk to people,
Yeah.
and even just your demeanor. And it's not just about when you're in the boardroom. So the way I show up, even when I'm in a shopping mall, matters.
Yeah.
What I post on my social media matters
Yeah.
because that defines who I am. So it's my holistic being that I need to. And then the other thing is I think I spoke about integrity as well.
Yes. Yes.
And also inspiring others, helping others grow. But as you are helping others grow, you also need to be growing yourself.
Mm.
Do you have a mentor?
Mm.
Do you have a coach? And as women sometimes get blinded. We look at things in a certain way. So I always make sure I have a male mentor.
And why not female?
I have female and male.
Okay.
So the reason I also have a male mentor, he will give me
The
male perspective.
That's right.
When I get extremely emotional,
Mm.
I'm upset and I'm just saying, I'm going to quit this job. I can't do this anymore. And he says, sit down. Are you going
You're
to
not
lose
going
anything? You're not going
anywhere.
anywhere.
That's it.
You know, because they're more, I'm sorry to say, I think they're more objective and they'll look
The
at
less
things.
emotional?
Yeah, they're less emotional, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so that's literally one angle that I've looked at. And there's a quote I just wanted to perhaps conclude
Yeah,
with,
sure,
which
sure.
is by Simon Sinek.
Yes.
Leadership is not about being in charge. It's about taking care of those in your charge.
Absolutely amazing. Wonderful. Wonderful. I just wanted to touch slightly on the piece around resilience and crisis and all of that.
Yes.
And I know that we as humans really don't like change. We don't like discomfort. But the irony is the most challenging circumstances, issues, problems are the ones that grow you,
Yes.
right? They're the ones that stretch you. They're the ones that bring the things that phenomenal things come out of difficulty.
Yes.
And I think it's kind of advisable to have a different mindset to challenges.
Yes.
To kind of say, okay, instead of having like a defensive, have a curiosity approach to it and say, okay, this is interesting. So how do we navigate this? As opposed to just thinking, okay, now I'm going to quit. Yeah. So I just wanted to put that in. There was one or two questions in the room. Delia, did you want to have a question? Yes, Carolyn?
Thank you. It's an online question here.
Okay.
I'm going to just read it quickly. Thanks,
Okay.
Venus. What guiding purpose or North Star do you hold as you rise, and how do you remain true to it when external pressures or expectations pull you elsewhere? So can you explain how you navigate the tension between authenticity and external demands, which many rising leaders struggle with?
Did you get that?
Yes, I did. Okay. For me, I think I'd say my North Star. Okay, it's actually something that perhaps I don't do. I don't do it intentionally, but a lot of people have come to me and say, "You're very humble." So I'm like, okay, of course I can't talk about my own humility, but it's a difficult one. But I'm just based on the feedback
Right.
I receive, and they say I'm also the type of person that is very embracing or puts myself in other people's shoes.
Right. Empathetic.
Yeah, I'm empathetic. So, and the reason I am empathetic is I always try and tell myself, if it was me,
How would I
feel?
Yeah.
Irrespective of whether it's the janitor in the office or it's a fellow board member, their needs are different. But I believe they're all humans and they need to be treated the same.
That's great.
So that's one of, perhaps I would say that's my North Star. And I think there was a bit around dealing with challenges.
Yes.
So maybe I could take the other question and then
Yes.
respond to both.
There's a question from Doris. Go ahead.
Venus, much of what you have said resonates with me. You spoke about having chaired the audit committee of the Tax Authority of Zambia. So I chaired SARS's audit committee for 5 years after the state capture time. And people often ask me, why on earth would you do something like that? What really possessed you? And it goes back to what the lady said in the beginning, is the fact that what is there about my existence that makes this place a better place? And what makes South Africa a better place? And it's about, if I don't do it, who else is going to do it?
Exactly.
And SARS today, I think all of us know, is a proud institution. They get clean audits. They are leaders. They have done an immense amount in respect of technology. And when my 6 years ended there, I took over as chair of Home Affairs' Audit Committee. Now, again, I think many of you know of the challenges, what we read in the media. But the point is, that is where my unique value proposition, my skills lie in the public sector. And if I'm not going to do that, if I'm not going to put my hand up, who else is going to do that? And I want to challenge each and everyone in this room. Consider a public sector appointment. I have to say that Home Affairs has probably gotten the worst modified audit opinion they've ever received this year. And I remain positive, and I say to the team, the DG and the minister, you know what, now it's out on it's on the table. We can improve from here, and we will improve. We will partner with, for instance, some financial services organizations who have brought aboard their IT skills to enable us to bring systems. The minister very proudly shows us his e-visa that he has, and there are so many little wins. And I really want to say it's about being resilient. It's about understanding that there is a huge challenge, but it's doing things for the bigger good. Thank you.
Thank you, Doris. Thank you so much. Call to action, all of you in the room, all of you online, get into public service. Let's go. Yes, go ahead.
Yes, good morning, everyone. I'm Sibongile, ex-Deloitte partner with Delia. Feels like forever, right? I do a lot of work, of advisory work in the financial services. That is why I was keen to speak with you, Venus.
Okay.
Specifically now, doing a lot of work at ABSA. What has been interesting for me is seeing the composition of female leaders outside of South Africa,
Outside the South
African regions versus South Africa, which for all intents and purposes has the bigger revenue contribution, the bigger estate in terms of people and so on and so on. So this I've asked at a meeting with Charles Rousseau, how do you guys think differently around making South Africa also equally representative of women, especially Black women in senior roles? Because when you see it, they don't rise above where, for example, you talk about Mary Villegas and FNB, you hardly hear about her. And when you go to Nedbank and this Jason Quinn, who's just moved from ABSA to, there's a lot fanfare. Now Ken is at ABSA. Do you understand? When you then look at female CEOs in these spaces, I won't even talk about mining, but then that is a different story altogether.
Yeah.
How do we then in that space where you are in outside of South Africa, where there's a lot of that, there's better representation than we have here. When you then cross over and you interact with the side, what is the nature of the conversation? How receptive people are towards that? Thanks.
Yeah. Do you want to?
Yes, let me,
Yeah,
yes.
go for it.
Yeah. So thank you so much for the call to action to join the public service. It's literally, how do we give back? And how I navigate my challenges. I think that was the earlier question. I literally have to tell myself the way I will write down things from a work perspective, even when I'm dealing with a challenge, I need to document it. That's my style.
Right.
I would document it and literally say, this is the challenge. What are the possible outcomes that could come out of this? And I decide to focus on the side of gratitude and the positive angle of it. So I'm curious to say, how can I actually convert this into something positive?
Okay.
COVID was an interesting time for all of us. I got into a role March. That's when I joined ABSA. I'm supposed to be undergoing my induction, lockdown.
And then the lockdown came.
So you can imagine how it was. You're in a new role, as a CFO, this is year end. You're expected to deliver on your annual report. And I literally told myself, we need to find a workaround
Right.
with this. If it means us investing in making sure all the colleagues in the team have the systems.
Yeah.
Yes, maybe policy is saying, no, you can only get internet for someone who's a certain grade and above. Let me get back to whoever I need to talk to and make sure this is actually worked on.
Yeah.
Because I need people to work wherever they are.
Yeah.
So that's just one example that I would perhaps cite.
Yeah.
And then the issue around female representation. I hear you, definitely much better outside South Africa. Zambia, I guess, is one, and I've got some colleagues in the room here, and I think they can confirm that Zambia is one of those that is doing pretty well. So for Zambia, CEO, CFO, Chief Risk Officer, Chief People Officer, Head Legal and Company Secretary, females.
Is
And
this for ABSA Bank
in
Zambia
Zambia.
PLC?
Yes, Zambia
Okay.
PLC, yes.
Well done. Well done.
And we have challenged ourselves. So it's actually a key performance indicator. And I guess maybe that's and it's across the group. It's not just for Zambia, but it's across the group. So definitely have a lot of strides to take from the South African perspective. But I can confirm that it does get the level of attention that it deserves to
deserves.
try and convert it.
Right.
And it's not just about the top leadership, even at vice president level, we're I think at about 40% in Zambia for female representation. And I am proud to say that even for one of the boards I sit on, the tax authority, it's an interesting one. 60% female representation.
Wonderful. Wow. That's impressive. So what has happened? What different things have been done to arrive at those outcomes?
Yes.
Because we're looking for the answers. You
Yes.
talked about the workarounds. What are they doing differently?
I think we've been more intentional, and it's also gatherings like this,
Right.
where because it's also not just about women filling the numbers, but what is the quality of the women and what's the input they bring to the table. So there's been a lot of intentionality amongst the women that are already at that level
Yeah.
to upskill others. So we have similar institutions such as women on boards, like Women in the Boardroom back home, and even the Institute of Directors has also been deliberate to try and promote female representation. Then as a woman who's sitting on boards, I'm also expected to mentor women that would like to do so. And I'm glad to report that some of them have actually been able to get board appointments currently.
Fantastic. Okay, so are there any more questions? Okay.
Yes. Good morning. The name is Dr. Pindi Msomi. I'm an owner in the sector of agri, water, and energy sustainably so. My issue is this PhD syndrome, and we talk about lifting others, and yet it just doesn't happen. And I'm thinking, as women who are already in boards, how can we champion practices or governance procedures or something that would enable kind of sort of nudge, I wouldn't use the word force, nudge other women who are already there, whether in COO roles, board roles, to actively really do that? Because intention is good, it's there, but it comes from very different people in rooms. But how do we sort of formalize it? Like I'm saying, I don't want to use the word force, but push people to really actively say, I'm in this space, I'm in this sector, it's a difficult one to enter, and I want to be able to bring other women along. How do we do that?
Maybe I can just make a comment. So obviously we've got initiatives such as this one. I think we try and look for answers elsewhere. I think the answers are in this room. Do all of us have mentors? Are we being mentored by others? I think we need to build a culture of mentoring others. So let's start that movement right here. I think if one is intentional, and you spoke about intentionality, let's not wait for formalized things. Let's build the culture. Let's get it going. So we've got something. Here is a platform, for example. And I think we've got a good database now. I think there's people in the room, even me included, who are willing and available to mentor. Delia, for example, mentors a lot of people. ULP initiative is phenomenal. So I think let's keep going, and eventually we'll get to the tipping point. But we need to find the answers are here, actually.
Yes, I agree. It's about us. So I hear you. Apart from being intentional, it's also about filling our toolbox with the right skills, because then you want to make sure that you actually add value.
Yeah.
So what may have got me onto the tax authority was my interest in tax matters and how I would actually put up my hand beforehand if there was a financial services sector tax matter.
Yeah.
I would actually say, I'm going to write a position paper to be presented to the central bank or to the tax authority. I'm doing that pro bono. It's my extra time.
Yeah.
But then that also gives you that extra edge.
Absolutely. So we don't have any more questions. Any a question online? Yes, Carolyn?
No, there are lots of questions.
Lots of questions. We've run out of time. So let's.
The first one, reflecting on your rise to success, what's one decision or action you might approach differently if you had the chance, and why?
So my initial dream was actually never to be an accountant.
Wow, look at you where you ended up.
I actually wanted to be a medical doctor.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah, but well, I am where I am. And what I would do differently, perhaps I should have started building other women up much earlier. I think that's what, like those that are coming after me, and then I believe that's something I could have done differently. And I know we're out of time. So just wanted to share, perhaps in summary, with
Yes,
all the pointers
that'd be nice.
we've discussed. And these are literally pointers that resonate with myself from a book that I have read. It's As You Rise. It's actually As You Rise, Leadership Matters by Mrs. Mizinga Melu, who's our bank CEO. So that's something she does herself. She actually writes books. And the pointers are, your why has to be audacious. Dream big. Build your own toolbox and brand. Let it speak for you. How you show up matters, because these are things that we've literally discussed. Strengthen your support system. Lead by example. Be interested in people, not roles and titles. Not everyone will like you. Choose your battles. Be self-aware and critically self-assess. It's performance over womanhood. And don't walk out, walk up with gratitude. And having highlighted these pointers from the book, I think for me, I picked the topic As You Rise because I believe as women leaders, we need to arise. And we're going to arise by A, being authentic and adaptable. R, resilient and reflective. I, integrity driven and inspiring.
Nice.
S, have a support system and be strategic in everything that you do. Those audacious goals. The way you do a medium-term plan for your business, have your own medium-term plan as an individual. E, be emotionally intelligent, embracing, an effective communicator so that you can be trusted by those around you.
So we are 7 minutes over time. Carolyn, do we have a lot of questions? I think we can close off this session. There's no more questions in the room. I think you've covered all bases. So thank you very much, Venus. This has been fantastic.